Back on the road again, feeling kind of lonely yet, but I got to be my friends saying crazy cause to be up on the love, gotta do it different, Jay. This time, the baby would meet at a bar, I'll drive a funky car, maybe we'll meet at a club, and fall so deeply in love. Now tell me I'm the one, and we'll have so much fun. I'll be the girl of his dreams, maybe. Alright, baby, go find me the day I gotta get someone to call my love. Yeah, baby, come. Alright, baby, come. That's my way. I gotta get someone to call my love. Yeah, baby, come on.
Good stuff? Yeah.
Spoiled over another love, and when thinking of Texas, not a good thing.
Come.
Love hard with everything, I don't want to make with advice this time.
All right.
Yes.
Good evening, and welcome to
The Truth Behind the Truth.
I put my glasses on because I can see the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Celebrating Miss Janet Jackson. Yes. So well deserving by all many levels and by all many. I mean, what can you say about Janet? But nothing but good, you know. And she has been one that has endured, and still comes out. What did they say? Smelling like gold, rising from the ashes as Phoenix or Phoenix.
She's staying in there.
Yes.
She's okay. Miss Janet's still working it. She's still working it.
Yes, at 59.
Yeah, she's still working 59.
It. And not even just kind of magnifying her age, but you know, you and I were talking about some of the. Then we'll get into the show. The comments that these illegitimate people that are on these social media sites have been putting out
the
there.
Internet is always going to be the internet. How you thought? You didn't see the performance, Charles, didn't you?
No, sure didn't.
Okay.
I didn't see too much of it. I don't watch the music award shows anymore. You want to know? I don't have nothing against award shows. It's just I'm tired of seeing the favorites. And what I mean is there is no there's no diversity in artists anymore. It's only, you know, and I say this because during the 90s, it seemed like the award shows were geared towards an audience of diverse musical tastes. Is what I'm trying to get at. You had people, there was still a representation of young, old, middle down the road, urban, pop, gospel. You still had that going on, and this is why I miss this Dick Clark. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm kind of, you know, when you wake up, you tend to have a moist situation going on in your mouth. But Dick Clark, I miss him. I miss this Dick Clark because Dick Clark had a vision for the American. Not only the American award shows, but America as a musical lover. He knew what the audience wanted to see, but it wasn't always based on who were the faves. It was based on who he believed were great, authentic, talented people. And we got to see talented people on these award shows. Nowadays, you just see the same old flip-flop, same stuff over and over and over. I'm tired of seeing the same people always being pushed in our faces. And it makes me like want to say, you know what? I don't want to, it's done. I'm tired of seeing the same people. I mean, if y'all disagree, just, you know, but I don't watch award shows anymore.
Well, I don't, before we dig in, we got to get this show going.
No, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. I know, but let's keep this thing going. Charles, I'm just saying, but Charles, do you watch award shows to watch your faves, or do you just don't care to watch them at all?
I used to watch them a lot, but like he said, they become so political that I just got lost interest in them. They don't really touch the artists like you said that are trying to make are making waves or that are have a buzz. They go through who's established through the industry, who they want to see, who they don't want to see, and the people and a lot of folks are upset because the artists they're actually listening to don't get recognized. So
There you
Well,
go.
yeah, that's true. I mean, to a large extent, I'm just gonna be old school when it comes to music, and that probably I'm gonna be like my mama was. That ain't gonna never change because when there's quality out there, when there's performance quality, when you have had somebody that has set a standard, I mean, we might as well just sweep all Hollywood away and all Black Hollywood and and musicals and and the things that set the precedence for Broadway. And I get it. Every community is not exposed to all those type of things, which is the fault of the community, not the fault with the industry. But when you have somebody like the Jackson family, at the end of the day, they will always remain to be music royalty, of America. And there's just no way about it because anything that you do, I talk about music or a true music royalty, you have to go back to the Jackson Five, Joe Jackson, Catherine Jackson, and the list goes on, and what the precedents they set in the 70s and the 60s and the 70s coming forward, that set a beautiful music trend of what quality is, not inside Motown, that's a kind of category. But when we allow the youth, and I'm just going to say that the youth of this day and time to try to push Michael Jackson aside, he will never be pushed. I'm using him as another example because Michael is influencing kids that you would never imagine, at this day and time in life. And I think that will continue to go on. Michael's been gone, 13 years now? 14 years now? I think
somewhere around there.
Yeah. And, they show videos from time to time and they get a lot of likes and things on social media about his influence. The same way moving down the road onto Janet. Without Janet Jackson, you would not have typically the Whitneys. You would not have, the Whitney's a singer. That was a different category.
Yeah, I'm about to say that.
But performance and singing, she would. Britney Spears is the only. Okay, but I'm going to cut it short. The only two people in the '80s that you had was Janet Jackson and Madonna. That's it. Madonna set a trend, which is beautiful. She's still keeping that up. A lot of people debate over classics. So that's not the point. The woman set a trend. When she came out, it was like, wow. And then she had a lot of African-American influence in her music, which carried her over. Her first writers were Nile Rodgers, of Chic. So he brought that. He saw something in her to bring her to the light. It was the right time or whatever, but let's go on. Christina Aguilera and like I said, Britney Spears and all the ones, Katy Perry, and then all the ones that have surfaced, even the Miss Queen Bee. Okay, at the end of the day, she has to pay homage to Janet. She has to pay homage to Michael, and has set the standard. So when middle-aged America tried to destroy Janet with the Super Bowl, incident, which was not her fault, of course, everybody, knew it because middle America went, oh my God, she saw her breast, and some people would say titty, on camera, which was not her fault, so they tried to crucify her.
There you go.
Middle America, because of her reigning success. At that point. But anyway, enough of the history lesson about that.
But my thing is with this, America sucks when it comes down to legends.
We suck
when we want, we really do not care, or we don't respect the people who came before us.
Yeah.
And that sometimes go with our R&B legends too.
I agree.
I mean, and it's just, it depends on what you represent. I think the Rolling Stones get a better uplift than anybody else these days.
I'm sorry. That's why I bring up the Jackson dynasty, because they're typically, the Osmonds came along at that particular point in time. They really tried to bet Donny Osmond and Michael Jackson in the same room, and it couldn't happen. Michael rolls right over Donny Osmond.
Nobody cares about that.
Yeah,
nobody.
No.
That's the one thing that nobody cares about. It's
Exactly
always based on what's now. America has always been we consider ourselves a young country. You know what I'm trying to get at?
But you got old ass people running it, right?
Well, that too. Hey, but we always consider ourselves a young country, and we believe in youth. We believe in what's fresh and what's new, even if it's a fly-by-night situation, which I don't quite understand why. Why? Now, for example, Janet, that's a representation of longevity,
right?
Which I know for a fact that none of these young stars have. Mm-hmm. Lizzo will be a fly-by-night. Mm-hmm. I hate to say it, she will be, Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion. These people going to be the card, and all of these other folks. I don't Jacquees and whatever you want to call them. You will be surprised how long these people will last on our radar, because there is no such thing as longevity anymore. Most of our singers and some of our actors will be fly by nights because we don't have a culture anymore that really supports and really that is organic enough to put certain things, or you know what I'm trying to uphold certain standards, and that is the reason why to this day we still talk about Whitney Houston, we still talk about Michael Jackson, we still talk about Aretha, we still talk about Prince, because these people were the standard, but we don't have standards anymore. We just don't. This country, it just doesn't. It doesn't produce standards anymore. I
like how Charles, like I like how you refer to it, Charles. You know how I am about the stallion and the bees and all the other type of stuff.
Charles, what do you think?
Yeah,
what do you think about it?
But let me just say this in Chuck one. But just like now, I mean, there is a place that she's going to use it, of course, to capitalize on. But there's this thing that they're going to start banning Megan Thee Stallion from making public appearances because it's going too far. It's going way too far. It's way too far with that. And I get it. There is a community of people that enjoy obscurity. All right. At the end of the day, maybe my conservative values are in that aspect.
Who's gonna stop it?
Who gonna
stop
it? Conservative?
Who's gonna stop Megan Thee Stallion from coming?
I'm not saying they're gonna stop, but there's a ban against her developing because of what's being presented in the
that ain't gonna never happen, Captain.
But
unless Trump says something about it,
well, then
unless Trump says something about it, then something might swell up. But there are no Tipper Gores anymore. Right. That is not that strong anymore. Go ahead, Charles.
But so I just I'm sorry. I just think that it just doesn't draw enough respect to all of the rhetoric that we have and hear about, African American women. But go ahead, Charles.
Well, I'm just going to say they wouldn't show Elvis. They wouldn't show James Brown. Everybody's going to have their panties in a bunch about something. It just never changes. It's just how that works. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember, and it's just sad to say, at least on my part, we're old. The young people are going to come in and take over. They don't care about what we think and what we say. Right. Those shows are still going to come in and they're going to do what they do.
That's right.
They the same way they did Elvis from the waist up, they'll do somebody else. And they'll do Megan Thee Stallion from the side or something. Who knows? My thing is you just can't get caught up in nostalgia. Because the time keeps progressing. That's the one thing I think we can lose track of. Things progress. They move on. They get better. Our kids will be singing those songs when they get 50 and 40. So you're not going to be able to stop them from being nostalgic about the songs they heard, and they're going to bring those songs forward. But the key to this whole thing is we have to start realizing that time moves and music progresses. Shoot, from next time it'll probably be robots or AI making music. So we never know where it'll go to the next step. So
funny that they had showed on YouTube the other day about they're starting to create a AI idol type of situation. I'm using idol as an example, and we'll talk about him next when we go on. AI, so there's this dance competition that they're doing with robots, and so the best. I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? This dance robot, and they got these robots, and I guess the people that what is it? Program the robots are the ones that are going to actually win, but they're developing a dance reality show for robots. I was like, oh my God, are you like serious?
But I can only blame them. Those who support this, see, I can't, like you just said, Charles, things will go on. We will have to we will have to try to catch up. That's basically what is being said. But to be honest with you, it all falls down to who is supporting, who's putting their money behind this. And if we, the people, put our money behind mediocre, we will have mediocre things. And that's just the way it is. It's all about the bottom dollar. Truth behind the truth. You will have mediocre if you put your bottom dollar behind mediocre. And that's just the way it is in this capitalistic system. What is going to make me the most money? What are people going to watch? Or what are they going to strive to look for, to look up? And it's sad, though, but that's the society that we live in.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I just always say to myself, I can't blame Megan Thee Stallion. I can't blame those robots. I can't blame these people because somebody is putting their bottom dollar behind this, and we are forced to swallow this because there are people who just don't know talent. They don't have any standards. They don't have any morals. Right. So what happens? That's why we have this man in the White House.
Right. Absolutely.
People just don't have, we're going to have to be forced to swallow bad raw meat because people out there love bad raw meat.
Right.
And I just,
I won't say that they love it. I think it's just that they don't allow themselves to be exposed to anything anymore, and thank goodness that we've had, parents and influences in our lives and very talented family members and things like that set a standard for us to strive after. You try to put it out there, you don't. One other point that we're going to move on to American Idol. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I had said, I'll tell you about this today, that one of my associates, I had just mentioned about Jeremiah, my grandson, our grandson, is considering modeling, and because he's got a very, very good bone structure and he's very, photogenic and things of that nature. And, the guy said to me, oh, well, you don't want to get him involved in that because that's a treacherous business and he may be doing all this stuff going to be coming at him. Like, really? Really?
It does now.
My nephew is moving into be one of the top Banana Republic models. He's got a great look, and he's Asian, African American, and Caucasian combined, and he is this great melting pot of looks.
He's very racial ambiguous.
Right, exactly. So he has this great look, and he's doing very well. I mean, he's at runways and. Doing very just by simply submitting a couple pictures to a company.
But I would have asked him, you walking down this journey of life, and what is he working at the same job you're working at?
This
guy? Yeah,
he's one of my
Now, we all have walked down the same path. What has not been thrown at us, regardless of what we have done in our lives? Right. I hate to say this because I don't even have to be a model for people to throw drugs in my way, alcohol in my way, sex in my way, all types of filth in my way. Right. It doesn't take you being a singer, an actor. You could be working at a warehouse and people throwing their shits at you.
Right.
Times have changed.
At the end of the day, it's what you bring to the. It's like at the end of the day, it's what you accept. Mm-hmm. You cannot accept everything and everybody as something that is I need to have. Everything is not for everybody. But I want to ask Charles this. Charles, who is your favorite performer? Who do you listen to?
I'm a band guy, so I like Mint Condition, Frankie Beverly and Mays, and stuff like that. But then, the thing about this is too, because even when I modeled back in the day, man, it's a while back. The scare was my uncles all said, "Man, you do that, you're gonna be gay," and I was like, "Huh?" So no matter what you do, everybody's got an opinion, and everybody's got some type of horror story. Yep.
You can be gay in the garbage man. You can be gay in the military. You can be gay as a police officer. You can be.
My point.
I'm so over that. It's
everybody's
like,
got
what
an
are you
opinion.
trying to say? You can pick up cans and somebody throwing their ass at you. What are you talking about? I'm just saying.
But the sad part about it, but it goes into what we're talking about. This is the mental wellness. But you know how much mental conflict that we put on people by making those kind of suggestions or suggestive modes or putting, like you said, everybody got something to say. Shut the hell up. That's what you can do. Just shut the hell up. If you don't know about it, shut the fuck up. And stop putting this stuff on people.
Y'all.
You know what I mean?
I worked at Hollywood. Right. I have known homeless people who are getting more stuff than I am. And I ain't trying to be funny in this. But y'all do know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Keep going. But I had to put that out there. Homeless folks are out there getting it more. And have time to do whatever the hell, and don't even have money, don't even have a place, don't even have shelter. They are out there getting it, and they ain't models. They're not even superstars. You just make it make sense to me how you can go up to somebody and say, well, you can't be a model because they'll turn you gay. You know how many what we call them, that homo.
Homo. Yeah.
I'm just being funny, but homeless sexuals.
Homosexual. I mean, yeah,
homeless sexuals. I call homeless sexuals. They'll do anything to get to be up on a neighbor roof.
Get in your house.
Come on now, make it make sense.
I mean,
just the truth behind the truth.
I think as I've gotten but as I've gotten older, or a little bit more wiser, I would say, situations, I step back and I get quiet and I just look and I'm just like, dang, where are we going? You and I were talking about this earlier today. It's like everything has to have the sexual motivation behind it in some sort of fashion. Yeah. You cannot have a conversation about anybody without the implementation of what they do sexually. And why?
Don't be a pastor. That's the perks of being a pastor.
Well, yeah, but anyway, that's not good. But but my point is just that
praying to the Lord and getting something on the side.
So I mean, and it's very disheartening. It's very, very disheartening. And it's all based upon your bedroom performance at the end of the day. Sad to say, but it's all based upon your bedroom performance.
But being afraid of the human experience.
Exactly.
You're going to always have people throwing stuff at you, regardless of where you're going in this life. And I just wish people would be honest. Because it's just, at the end of the day, I don't care in what walks of life you walk. You're going to go through life. I don't care if you are a Christian or you're a Buddhist or whatever. You are going to walk in this life, and people, whether you're pretty, ugly, out of shape, in shape, people are going to throw stuff in your way that's going to say, oh, I should try this. And it's not going to matter where, it's just going to be there. It's either you're going to accept it or you're not going to accept it. Either you're going to have some discipline or you're not going to be disciplined. You know how many crazy, I'm just saying, there are ugly people out here getting it in. Right. And I'm just saying, that is what it is. It's true behind the truth.
And the sad part, this is to support everything what you guys are saying. Yeah. We got to move on. You remember when during COVID out here, and it was sad to say that they were trying to establish these tiny homes for the homeless people. You remember when they were putting them all over and they stopped building them for some reason, I don't know. But anyway, so they the news interviewed this one homeless guy, and he was in a wheelchair too at the same time. He said he didn't want to go into one of the tiny homes because he didn't want to follow the rules and he couldn't bring no women in there. Huh? I said, you stanky ass son of a I couldn't. You heard me. I said, you stanky ass bastard. I'm just gonna tell you what I said. Somebody trying to give you a shelter and you worried about what stanky ass woman you can possibly bring in there with you. Really? Okay, anyway, time to move on. Stanky ass. Anyway, so, we gonna move on to the next one.
Oh, they don't think it's stink. Probably it's nice, isn't it?
Well, anyway.
I'm just the each his own.
Well, anyway.
Bon appetit. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that.
Anyway, so we are in the course of we have to
particulars
of the show. So yeah, welcome to the truth behind it.
Welcome to the truth behind the organic truth, because it's gonna get kind of crazy on this show tonight.
We want to thank you for tuning in. Yes. You don't want to remind you about our particulars. Please support us. The Venmo, the truth behind the truth on Venmo, and TTBTT on our Cash App, and our email, same thing, TTBTT show. All right, send us emails, talk to us, whatever. And about our coffee mugs. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get all this out of my head quick. Mugs are available $9.99. Send an email to the TTBTT show at Gmail to acquire your mug. All right. That's right. So moving on. All right, we're just coming out of the. Do we have another week? We have 1 week of made on, which was last week.
This is the last.
This is last week. Okay, we may roll over to one other show because he's got a very interesting point that we're going to bring a video clip. I'm just going to preempt it for next week's show. That is going to be very powerful, and I think everybody should make it a point to tune in 6:15 between 6:15 and 6:30 next Tuesday night. You're going to really love this video, educational piece. I want to put that disclaimer in about next week. But anyway, so there was this clip that came up. I don't know if those of you that are on Instagram have saw it or not. And we're at the point of just celebrating Memorial Day. And I saw this clip and I was like, you got to be kidding me. You know, and as African Americans, we talk about the nostalgia of music and what people don't pay attention to and all this other type of stuff. A lot of people don't understand what their history or history in general. So why the clown wants to wipe it away. So therefore you won't ever know about the history or how things evolved, you know, or the major influence that African American community has had let's just say on this planet, period, at the end of the day. In the Americas and everywhere else. We just don't hear about other things in other countries that we've done. All right. But Charles, we're going to play that clip real quick about the celebration, how it happened about Memorial Day. Real fast.
All right.
As he's bringing it up. So I oh, there we got it. Okay. Here it goes, guys.
The first Memorial Day actually was created by African Americans celebrating their freedom in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War. The story was just almost unbelievable when I first read it. On May 1st, 1865, the Civil War had ended, just ended. People gathered on the old Planters horse track, the racetrack in Charleston, and they held this extraordinary parade. In the last 6 to 8 months of the war, the Confederates had converted the infield of that racetrack into an open-air prison, and about 260 Union soldiers had died. On May 1st, about 10,000 people marched around the old Planters race course, led by some 2,000 or 3,000 black children, carrying armloads of roses and flowers and singing John Brown's body, followed by black women, black men, and then Union troops. And they marched around the course, and then they gathered in this cemetery that had been created by local black workmen, and they heard preaching from 5 black ministers, according to this article. These are the freed people of Charleston paying tribute to the Union Dead. Wow. That's the first Memorial Day.
Wow. Wow.
You know,
Go ahead.
this is why it's so important to know your history. Because at the end of the day, you will never know until you actually find out and do absolute research for yourself. I always knew of the story, but I did not know of the details. And I always knew, because thank God I had a grandma who told us things. She said, you know, actually, I think she said it was the 4th of July was for white folks, but Memorial Day was for black folks. That's why. It was like almost like remember that was a thing during Jim Crow that vanilla ice cream was only given to black kids on the 4th of July because they were not allowed to give vanilla ice cream. Yeah, they were allowed only chocolate ice cream, but vanilla ice cream was given only on the 4th of July. Because to give black children the 4th of July vanilla ice cream any other day was considered really a sin, because in most cases they didn't want us to be on equal standing. There were certain customs that were still going strong in those days, and that was one of those customs. But the saddest thing about it is, though, do you know how many black folks you know how many black people know that? Know of this information. I can tell you this, Charles. My grandma used to tell us this all the time. Y'all are lucky to go. Y'all can go and try on any shoes in this store. But back in the day, we could only trace the bottom of our feet, and they would hand us the shoe. And in most cases, those shoes wouldn't fit. That's why, and if you notice, some of the old guard, they had bad feet. Some of them further down south, because the shoes that they wore were either too small or they just were worn out, and some just had to walk barefoot. Those are oral histories that needs to be still passed down, because without those oral histories, hey, what's going to happen is we might fall back into the same situation. And you always say that would never happen, but how do you know? They are already passing laws right now as we speak, and they're erasing black history, and they're getting rid of almost of the black Smithsonian. That little by little, they're trying to get rid of that black monument up there in Washington, D.C.
I've got something for you. They're now turning the Civil Rights Division into the the persecution of white Christian unit. They no longer do. They're no longer worried about minorities and people of color being discriminated against anything. Now that department has been turned to prevent the discrimination of white Christians.
That's also in that piece I wanted to show y'all today. But the saddest thing about that is I have some resentment towards those black Christians that don't understand that they have failed for the okie doke because of their love of God, love of white God, to be honest with you. Because that's the one thing that people don't want to understand about this thing called organized religion. You are serving two different gods to these evangelicals. Their God is far more white and far more superior. So now there's a law that they have pushed, because this is more of an evangelical rights situation than anything else. They're trying to push this law because they feel like they have been feeling for years that they've been trampled on. Forget about all of your black brothers and Hispanic sisters that are brothers and sisters that believe in Christ. You're talking about white theology, white Christianity. And what comes with white Christianity? Ku Klux Klanism and all that neo-Nazism, it comes with that. But hey, our black brothers and sisters in Christ, some of them are still drinking of Jim Jones Kool-Aid. Well, I can't help them.
You know me, and I'm sitting here listening to you guys. And I am like closing my eyes, trying not to go there. Okay, well, because man, this is just so much that's just there. And my whole thing, and I don't accept the ridicule. I just stand my ground on stuff. When you want to place a responsibility of belief systems on people. Okay, and you don't find yourself in that belief system, but you aspire to be a part of that belief system only because you think it's a cultural representation. Okay, and a cultural representation meaning that we've been known to be the ones that are sitting in church praying stuck away and ain't nothing moved. Okay, we've not progressively moved toward the relationship that you want to get this fantasy about the God we serve. Why are we always on the poverty front, quote unquote, if we're serving this God, all right, but the other color counterparts are always on the upside of the prosperity.
Speaking of color parts,
I'm sorry, John, because I'm just prefacing it that way. I know the answers. I mean,
I'm just saying I have a clip for you that'll go right into that.
Okay, go ahead.
Candace Owens tried to control the narrative until Jasmine Crockett brought the receipt, held her ground, and dropped a line that silenced the room. The lights were hot. The makeup artist had already done her rounds. Producer signaled silently behind the camera. And there they sat. 4 chairs, 3 panelists, and 1 moderator trying to look relaxed. Jasmine Crockett shifted slightly in her seat, not from nerves, but precision. Her blazer was a deep cobalt, the kind of blue that made you listen. Across from her sat Candace Owens, legs crossed, smile sharp, eyes watching. They were on Real America Now, a late evening segment on WJTX out of Phoenix. Known for its sharp political segments, the show had a reputation for being anything but friendly. You didn't come here to find middle ground, you came to plant a flag. The topic was supposed to be a familiar one: race in America, criminal justice, party politics. Nothing new on the surface. But everyone knew that when Candace Owens was in the room, it wasn't about the topic, it was about control. Congresswoman Crockett, the moderator began, you've been vocal about disparities in our justice system, but many, like Candace here, argue that the system works and that race is used too often as a scapegoat. Your thoughts? Jasmine didn't blink. She didn't even shift. Her voice came out level, low. Well, the problem isn't that race is used too often. The problem is that it's ignored until it costs someone their life. Candace smiled, tight, performative. She jumped in. With respect, Congresswoman, I think it's dangerous when politicians push victimhood. This idea that everything bad that happens to Black Americans is rooted in racism, it's dishonest. I'm living proof. A few heads nodded off camera. That's how it always started. Candace framed herself as the exception, then tried to erase the rule. But Jasmine wasn't here to be steamrolled. So, Jasmine leaned forward just slightly. You believe systemic racism is exaggerated? Candace's smile didn't falter. Absolutely. The numbers don't lie. We've got more black millionaires than ever. The biggest stars, the most powerful voices in entertainment and culture, they're not just black, they're celebrated. What we're seeing now is victimhood as currency. The moderator glanced at Jasmine. She didn't speak right away. Silence was part of her style. She waited until the air in the room felt slightly off, like something had shifted that no one else noticed yet. She turned back toward Candace. That's an interesting stance, Jasmine said, because I was reading a public record last night that says otherwise, from 2007, I believe, a discrimination complaint filed by you. A pause. Not dramatic, just direct. Candace blinked. Excuse me, she said, laughing. I don't know what you're talking about. Jasmine kept her eyes on her. She reached into the side pocket of her binder and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Filed with the Stanford Board of Education, Jasmine continued. You claimed you were the victim of racial harassment in high school, and you didn't just file it. You won a settlement. Am I wrong? Candace opened her mouth. No words came. The moderator leaned forward, visibly uncomfortable. Let's just keep things respectful. Jasmine cut in, her voice still calm. This is respectful. I'm not attacking anyone. I'm asking how someone can spend years telling black kids that racism isn't real when she herself once needed protection from it.
And she got a settlement.
Truth behind the truth.
She won a settlement because she was ostracized, but she felt some type of way because of racism in her high school.
Yes.
But then for many years, and this is where I get so angry with certain people who tend not to do their own freaking research. This girl has been putting on for so long that people don't do due diligence. They just go off what the hell she says without doing background work on this. I knew about that story. I knew she utilized the NAACP to get money because of that. And the saddest thing about it is she went off on the deep end because of she needed money. She had a platform where she was speaking this type of stuff until somebody gave her money, which most black Republicans and black conservative podcasters do. They take the money, they take the devil's money, and they go run. They go jump. That's why you don't. This is and going back to Paula White's law, because I know Paula White is behind this. Martin Luther King's niece, what's her name with the glasses? His niece, Martin Luther King's niece. I'm gonna find her, and I'm gonna let y'all know who I'm talking about right quick. She has supported Trump because of this Christian value mess since the beginning of him being president, and since his last administration. I'm gonna find her name now, y'all. Bear with me, because it's gonna come up.
This is just as hypocritical as our Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas.
Alveda King. Alveda King.
Yeah.
That's her name.
You said it right.
Alveda King. But to be honest with you, she is the problem within black people believing that this man is all about Christian values, but not their Christian values, but white Christian values. But keep going. I'm sorry, Charles.
No, I was just saying that that's just like Clarence Thomas not supporting affirmative action when he got his went to college and everything based off of affirmative action. Now that he's gotten his degree, it's not fair. It shouldn't be given. Well, if it wasn't fair when you got it. So why are you so hypocritical about other people having an opportunity?
Well, let's take it off of him. Let's go down to the average black person as it is. Now, when you go get a job, when you ask, is there anybody, if you go walk into a place of business and you see a few black people there and there's a whole bunch of white folks there, and you ask, are y'all hiring? No. We were some time back, but no, we're not hiring. Then you go around, and sure enough, you might find that one Caucasian brother or sister who said, you know what? We have an opportunity here. It's always us who get up on our higher perch to tell those who are looking for some form of an open door, because we have it in our families too, an open door of opportunities. They'll slam the door in our face and say, no, it's not there, because they don't want their positions taken. Clarence Thomas And people like Candace Owens, people who sit up in those rooms all by themselves and will tell you to your face, there's no systemic racism. It's all in your mind. It's because I have filled in that quota. And because I have filled in that quota, I'm going to say, no, there's no systemic racism. And no, you cannot take my position. Black folks, oh God, don't even get me started because I'm already on my soapbox. But we are known to do shit like that. We are known to do stuff like that.
So tying all this back into how we led into the points here, and this is a magnification of what I said earlier. Belief systems have, and I'm going to say on us, belief systems have so bamboozled us. And it has no understanding about what God means to you as a person. You know what I'm saying? And we have been so driven away from that ultimate relationship of who God is. What about that?
This is our Vader King, y'all. I just want to make y'all say this is who supports this white Christian narrative. Now, this is the niece of Martin Luther King. Listen. This is Martin Luther King's niece.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But the question is, and it parallels to a lot of what you put up, Charles, and what you're saying about things like this. Teaching in the wrong information in the wrong hands becomes a detrimental problem. Okay. And when you don't do your individual research, but when you sit in these misogynistic environments from Sunday to Sunday to Sunday, and you pass this down to people don't know who they are, period. At the end of the day, and as a culture of people, we don't know who we are. This is why we allow the behaviors of things, because when you know who you are, you stand for who you are.
Close the doors.
Okay,
close the doors.
That's close the doors. But at this also point, this is kind of equating to everything that we're saying right now. At this point, we're at the point of you can call it celebrating, remembering, looking at, however you want to, as George Floyd's untimely transition out of this life into the other. Okay. Being murdered at the hands of a cop. Okay, now so cop exploitation is the topic again of the week. Because of again celebrating, looking at his whatever that is that you want to put it in. Probably what I have with that is that we still haven't even learned from that opportunity, because you had a group of people. Okay, you had a group of people that had said the biggest protests all over the world.
Yeah.
Not just here in America, all over. They were marching in England, they were marching in France, they're marching in Germany, they're marching everywhere in support of what was going on with police brutality.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we to this day? Okay, and I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna put out there, George Floyd, the angel that he became, the angel that he came here with, whatever, and he may be hovering over America at this particular point in time and going,
well, there are plans
to
get the dude out.
What happened?
Was the police officer that put his knee on his neck? They're planning to get him out.
Well, yeah, no, but my point is, I'm just saying, I'm saying that, as you have said on so many occasions, and we got to bring this in because this conversation go get way out there. I don't want to get way out there with it. I need us to do better, people of color. Okay, and me personally, I need us to do better. Okay, because when I sit with people and I hear the conversations about things that they say about us, that half of y'all don't even know what they're saying about you, but they're saying it about you. And then we start up talking about tonight about a wonderful icon. These are different pockets, okay? But the suffering of these different pockets. Janet Jackson suffered a lot with who she was, or who she is. At the end of the day, we started off with her. She suffered through the misogyny of what happened during a Super Bowl performance and was cast down. But here again, how many Christian people, Black Christians, cast her down? A hell of a lot. Okay, she shouldn't have been up there with that. That's what she get from doing the devil's music. That, you know what I'm saying? So all of these things, they roll into the lives of people, and people don't know who they are. You know what I mean? Because you're always being thrown something at you, and then you want to put it on the hills. And this is what God thinks about you. You don't even know what God thinks about you, baby. That puts that stuff out there. You don't know. All you know is that you're performing in a way that somebody suggested that you think that God is supporting, being there, supporting what you're doing. All I'm saying is that, and we got to move on because my
Well,
feel
Charles
my mind.
gotta have a say.
I know.
Charles,
No,
what you-
I'm leaving my
Charles,
point
we
out.
gonna get your
I'm
word
leaving
in.
my point out at this point. Is just that I just want to say this. That we need to pull it back in, people, to start paying attention to what's going on in our lives, okay, and what's going on around us, because it's a very serious thing out here. It's a very serious thing. But go ahead, Charles.
No, I'm always of perspective. I keep saying this to people every day. It's all a matter of perspective and perception. You feel the way you feel because of the things you've been through and the things you've witnessed in your life. Mm-hmm. Everyone is a witness to what they have gone through and been through. We can't always expect this to be a narrative or a broad stroke over everyone. All black people don't go to church. Absolutely. All white people don't hate black people.
Right.
All Asian people don't hate black people. Right. We can't just always put out there what we want and how we feel. And right. I get on my soapbox now. This is what America's supposed to be. The freedom right. to choose and be right. who you want to be, how you want to be, as long as it doesn't infringe upon another human being or another social network. Nobody seems to understand the fact that freedom comes at a cost, which means you're going to have to see other people's view. You're going to have to hear their voice. That comes with having the freedom. You can't have yours without someone else having theirs. And too many times we get caught up in, well, you need to be saved or you need to. No. And I know it's going to go against a lot of, but God is inside you. Right. That's where God resides. Absolutely. It doesn't reside at the church. It doesn't reside in that book. It resides inside you. Right. How you live your life and how you deal with everyone else is a matter of how you do it and how you feel it should be done. Absolutely. But we can never point at another individual and tell them what they should be doing and how they should feel about something else.
Right.
Well, do you think we should get reparations, though?
Well, we can't go there.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think we should.
If we gave that young lady who tried to break into the Capitol $5 million because they shot her for trying to break into the Capitol, then yes, black people should get reparations.
Right, and I agree with you, but we can't go there. That's going to open up too much of a conversation. But I agree with both of y'all. So that, and then Ashley Babbitt's family, really, you got a lawsuit, $5 million because you delicately made a choice coming from California to go all the way to Washington, D.C. to voice your delicate opinion, about something that you really should have dealt with in your own family, and the dislike and the hatred that was flowing through that in that particular point in time. But you wanted to be the lone soldier, the lone ranger.
Well, she was a veteran.
I know. But the lone ranger. I don't give a damn. This man right here is a veteran.
No, I'm putting it out there. She was a veteron, and she knew what she was doing. It's not like they made it sound like she went up there and she did not know. She was just walking around. She was oblivious to what was going on.
We know that.
But the thing about that is the fact that is why we are so misinformed. This woman was a definite veteran. She did what she did because she believed in the cause, and she got killed. But at the end of the day, she got $5 million, and most of our ancestors didn't get shit. Right. We didn't even get 40 acres and a mule. And you got black folks fighting that.
Right.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
But all of them, I was trying to paint a different picture.
Because there's a bunch of black millionaires, basically.
Right, of course.
You can't get your 40 acres and a mule because there's a bunch of black millionaires, right?
But rest assured, if you were a different person of a different color, a different perspective of that aspect of it, you went to Washington.
I hate black capitalists. I'm going to put it out there. This is just me being me. I hate black capitalists because they would throw that shit in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? They would throw stuff in your face to make you seem like you're just complaining. You're not working hard enough. That's why I have a hard time with Steve Harvey sometimes. You're not working hard. You're always complaining. You sleep too damn often. God forbid if you have worked more than 8 hours all day, but you come home, you're tired, you don't have the ability to do something like this, but you're complaining all the time.
You know, that leads up to the thing with Allison. Let's run that right quick.
I mean,
you're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
No, it's not true that there is a genocide against white farmers.
Okay, whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
violence been committed against white farmers?
How many white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered in
I don't know.
South
Several.
Africa?
I mean, they asked.
No. How many?
I don't know. Several.
I know why you don't know, because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean, I know this. I wouldn't trust the South African government to tell me. I know that.
How many black farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, You guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No, I'm not.
After we left 20 million people in the country, I don't know why you're so triggered.
Haven't even brought up the white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers were victims. Okay, this is according to the South African police.
And you think the South African government is a credible source?
The other 29, hold on a second, the 29 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers who have had violence committed against them, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened every single day. There's 59 people,
hold on a second.
And you're triggered about 59 people,
and
I don't know why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59 people.
That's not
white. Why are you only concerned about white people?
I'm only.
And let's go further than this. How many black farmers during the time of the Great Black Migration, those people who own land and businesses, those people were lynched and burned out of their homes here in these United States. But you can bring 59 white Afrikaners over here to own land and to own farms. That's reparations right there in a nutshell.
Genocide in Sudan
that never even existed.
Yeah, they got genocide going on in Sudan and the Congo, but we're not worried about them. We're worried about these 59 white folks, and even Afrikaners over there in Africa, in South Africa, say this is being exaggerated. It's not a problem. They own 80% of the farmland, but they're only 7% of the country. So how do you justify that? And you took the land from someone else to have it.
So his viewpoints is the very thing that we were kind of circling back around about the Ashley Babbitt situation. Okay, that was her thought pattern. So she had to go back and take back America on a vigilance point of view, and that's why. I'm gonna just go say that's why she got her ass shot. Okay,
exactly.
Right. That's why she got her ass shot. You know,
why were you there in the first place?
Why were you there in the first place? Because of her viewpoints are exactly like this clown right here, and those type of people are so rigidly in existence in our society. Now you got Paula White that has stepped into the White House that's going to give that same regiment idea of what we're trying to get to from the religious standpoint. So guess what? If we can't shoot you with a gun, we're going to shoot you with religion. Okay? Pretty soon, the religion is going to tell you that you got to serve your your white master again.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Because that's what you believe.
That's what it's about.
You know, so people are, and I'm not centering this completely around black people because, hey, look, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, y'all, man, woo, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot that's right there. And then the border is already shut off for y'all. Y'all ought to really wake the fuck up, okay, and stop supporting things that you have been supporting for the purpose of, hear it again, they lean that way because of Christian values.
That's true.
They voted for Trump based on Christian values. We see these people not knocking their religion. What are we going to do? The Denny's going to go out to eat right out here in LA. They got their little assembly together, jumping and hollering. Okay, and you got people getting snatched out of their homes and being sent back. But you jumping and hollering, talking about God help.
It's not only them too.
I know. No. I'm just using an example because they circle back around that. You know what I'm saying? Them. At the end of the day, I mean, we go different streets out here. They got these storefront churches. But your family is getting sent back to Guatemala and everything else.
Not only them.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna drop that.
But the saddest thing about it is that Bible, it was placed there to control and to conquer and to divide. You know, the saddest thing about that is, and this is, you know, how many of our immediate families cannot come to family reunions because of some white man's organized religion. I can't come to you because I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I can't come to you because you're a Pentecostal. I can't be around y'all because you're Baptist. I can't be around you because you're United Methodist. But that is the situation. They have used that book to divide, even with colorism too within the African American community. You know, you told me this once before. United Methodists won't even allow you in the church unless you were light bright. It's just that, to be honest with you, those were the situations that's been going on that has been really messing up our minds. Yeah. And there is a reason why a lot of us are not just going back to the old landmark. You remember the song, The Old Landmark? We're not going back to the old landmark anymore. That's gone. Right. It has been erased. And for those who want to still believe that it's still old strong, I feel bad for you, because Paula White and those people are telling you to your face that that it doesn't matter. Right. It's not that
you're going to be forced to see what we see. God, you're going to be forced to look at that Bible the way we see it, and you're going to be a representation of that. Just give me a little time, and it's going to be exactly that way. So the same thing as I said before. Pretty soon, okay, you're gonna find that orange portrait on the wall in your house, and you'll be bowing down to it when you walk in your house. Believe the truth behind the truth.
Now, you heard the latest nonsense he got? He wants to pass a law that says if you are caught cheating, you go to jail. And all the person has to do is have evidence, and you go to jail.
Who cheating? What? Finances? Cheating marriage?
In your relationship. If you're caught cheating in your relationship, you're going to jail.
Charles, stop.
I should have brought it for this show, but I'll get it in the next show.
He should be the first one going to jail, number one.
He should have been in jail a long time ago.
That's my point. That's my point. How do you do that? But the white Christian nationalists say that there should be a law against cheating in your relationship, especially your marriage. And look at who our example is. The 34 count felon. And that's another thing. People are passing around the video now saying that Trump has been relieved of the 34 counts, which is a lie. He's not relieved, but they're passing these videos out that he's been relieved. And that Letitia James is crying because she may go to jail for real estate fraud. Another, I got these black folks sending me all these things. I'm going, where you get this from? And then I look up, they go, it's brand new. It's brand new. No, it's not news, man. You whoever this guy is making this stuff up on YouTube, and you running with it. They're going, no, it's for real. And I'm like, dude, check your sources.
Because I mean, not you, Charles, but you're an idiot.
But you can Google that. Why don't you just Google? Why you just take something somebody tells you out?
It's not important. What's important is Tory Lanez getting stabbed in prison. What is so important is the fact that this Puff Daddy trial is not about trafficking, which we already knew. It was never about sex trafficking. But who cares? He was an idiot anyway for getting caught up in his own shit. Yep. Who else? We're so worried about Chris Brown being in jail in the UK. But you're not worried about your own freedom. They got money. They got access. You're broke behind is at home, worried about rich black folks who can easily do what the hell they want to do, and you broke.
And
we're living in some form. We're trying to live day to day, check to check. Who's gonna know? We're not gonna have food on the shelves soon.
The food program is being cut out.
Right.
The Medicaid is being reduced. So security is about to be tapped.
No, I'm going to be truthful in this. I am happy about it, because those people who voted for Trump, those were poor whites, and their kids are on that. Not only black kids, because I understand what you're trying to get at, but a lot of white folks down south, which we tend to forget, a lot of those down there are on those programs. And they voted for this. Just like those white farmers who are going to go bankrupt. They voted for this. I don't feel no ways tired about these programs going away. And you know what? The only thing I will feel bad is Social Security going away, because my mom is on Social Security.
Yeah, and I'm a disabled veteran, and they're talking about cutting my benefits.
So I feel no ways tired about SNAP and all of them, because some of these idiots went and voted for hatred and getting rid of this.
So as a leader, as the show is, we really make our diligent effort to try to provide information. I mean, how do we change it? Because this show, and then and future shows, but right now we are in this phase of how mental wellness is so much a part of this, what we're talking about, because you move out on decisions because you're not mentally sane, you're not mentally whole. And what is affecting us so mentally? Is it that what we've heard growing up? Is it what we've heard in these churches and synagogues about ourselves? Why is it that we cannot go within to find our own strengths, to be victorious over these situations, and understand that you have your own mind, you have your own spiritual mind? Ancestries, they had their own. A lot of them didn't do that, but a lot of them had their own mindset. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of let's just take some of the most horrific situations as an example. The ones that had the mindset of those that were in slavery. You know, I don't like talking about slavery like this, but the ones that decided to run away, that took a mindset. That took a God-fearing inside it. I'm not scared-fearing, but a God-fearing strength within them. You know what I'm saying? To say, I got to get out of this place. You know, live or die, I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That the Harriet Tubmans, okay, that the word Harriet wasn't the only one that did that, okay? All right, and she wasn't on Amtrak. All right, no. But anyway, the ones that had that fortitude, they maintained their spirituality in the midst of their fortitude. But guess what? They got up off their ass and did what they needed to do, at least to get where they wanted to go. Okay, but it seems like the complacency of this idealistic way that God is going to move the mountain for me. Okay, He's going to change my disposition. He's going to put me in a better position of money. He's going to do this. He's going to pay all my bills for me, and I'm not going to do nothing but pray. What? Really? To me, that is a mental problem at the end of the day.
That's what people say. That's faith.
That's a mental problem. It's just my opinion.
Okay,
that's a mental problem. Okay, that's mentally saying that I don't have the ability to deal with my own problems, so therefore I got to put in this fantasy idea that it's going to change because I put it out there this way. And half the people that put it out there don't even believe in what manifestation, because they say manifestation is the enemy. But that's a whole other conversation. We just keep putting ship on top of ship on top of ship.
Even though the I Have a Dream speech was a manifestation. The I Have a Dream speech was a manifestation.
Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't a prayer.
That was a manifestation. But the saddest thing about that is they won't believe you unless you have money and status. I mean, you got to be somebody like a bishop. You got to be a Trump. You got to be an R. Kelly. You got to be a somebody for somebody to want to listen. You notice that even with while this show been going on, and I'm not trying to be funny out here, but this is being real, truth behind the truth. I'm looking at the eyeball go 1, 2, 3, 4. See, the saddest thing about this situation is you got to have money for people to want to listen to this. The saddest thing about it is we have money in the White House. And you know what he's doing? Having crypto dinners.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And who that's supposed to serve? Who that's supposed to invest in? Who are you investing in? Why are you having crypto dinners? What is the point? And we all know that's pure corruption at the end of the day. But hell, you'll have an average American, they will tell you to your face, he can do whatever the hell he wants to do because he's a rich man. And not only he's a rich man, but he's a businessman. And business people give out opportunities while we just have to go and work for them.
Yeah, no, right, y'all, for real.
We need overseers in our lives. We need people telling us what to do and what to say and what to wear and what to eat and what to dress and what to listen to. And you know what I say? Bullshit. Yeah. That's why as a Taurus, I love my zodiac sign because we always say bullshit. I'm going about my 10-cent business. That's why to this day, I don't have a lot of friends because I have always said bullshit. I don't have to do, and we talked about this at the very beginning. People will throw some shit in your life. They will tell you who they are. I've had people throw weed in my face, sex in my face, all of this stuff in my face. But at times I've had to say bullshit. And at the end of the day, who did I have but myself at the end of the day? But at the end of the day, rejection is God's protection. I believe in that.
All right.
I believe in that. And I will protect myself regardless of how you think. I will protect myself.
Absolutely.
So, hey, I believe in self-preservation. Do you believe in it, Charles? I know you want to say something.
Now, my thing is, I think that we all should be thankful for the life we do have and understand that we are responsible. And I say this every day. Yes, I am my brother's keeper. We cannot survive on this planet without taking care of each other. It's not a my house, your house, their house. This is all about us as a goal. We can't go to Mars and go fuck up Mars now because we didn't fuck this planet up. It just don't work that way. Colonizing is colonizing, no matter how you look at it.
That's true.
But to a fault, though, you can't. I mean, look at all those people who protected Puff. That they were their brother's keeper. Now I'm just putting it out there. Now I will be my brother's keeper through a fault. Now if there's a situation that I know that's off the charts,
there was a people.
Listen, we're gonna have.
Yeah, that's where your moral high ground is. Where is your moral high ground? If your moral high ground is protecting Trump, who's a 34-time convicted felon, sexual offender, a cheater, misogynist, racist, Christian nationalist, hey, then that's who you take care of. But you have to remember, none of this is progress. It's only, I call it regression, because it only takes us back from where we were trying to get to.
True. Sure. I totally agree. Conversations like these can always, continue. And I think as we open the door and allow our thought patterns to expand, we pull in, I think, right information, energy. I heard somebody that I would say that is dear to me, that he was trying to rate our show, and which was totally, and Charles and I talked about, about it. And so, well, y'all just get on there and y'all just go in so many different directions, and you feel like that you have the exact word that every people's lives, and and I said, we do, because out of conflict comes resolution. Okay. Yeah. And if we're not helping you identify the conflict within your own life, then there's never going to be a resolution. It doesn't mean you have to agree with what's necessary, but there's a conflict there. There's a resolution that needs to be had. And this is what we're talking about in mental health. Mm-hmm. Okay. The conflict that's going on in your head right now about everything that has been laid out there. It may have been different categories. It may have been Jasmine Crockett. It may have been Candace Owens. It may have been maybe Janet Jackson. It may be celebrityism. It may be all of the things that you are inundated with every day of your life. Guess what? It creates some level of conflict within you. Conflict doesn't mean you're fighting. The greatest conflict is the one that's going on in your head right now. The greatest conflict is the one you can't decipher your own thoughts to make yourself in alignment with your individual creator.
But the saddest thing about it is that person voted for conflict. Well, that's the one thing. You can't tell me nothing when you didn't vote for resolution. You voted for conflict. Yeah, and not only conflict within the situation that's going on around the nation, you voted for conflict within the household that I live in. Mm-hmm. Because you voted to not legalize the one thing that really holds this household together. You voted for that, and you're going to tell me about the show, about my show, about our show? Yeah. No, I don't think I should listen to somebody who loves to thrive and who voted for somebody who thrives on separating, dividing, and conquering and starting conflict. Man-made conflicts, terrorists, to be exact. Right. Mm-hmm. So no, I will never listen to idiots like that. Right. Sorry, I'm just gonna call you that. You can take it the way you want to take it, but I don't listen to shit like that. I don't, and people who believe in shit like that.
You're absolutely right.
I don't.
So we have presented. We got to wrap this up. Opportunities, ideas, ways, information from the greatest to the least, to the worst to the present day worst. Okay, that are there. The decision is yours.
That's right.
Okay, the decision. There's one thing that I like about what Whoopi says every day on The View. She said, if I had opportunity to tell y'all how I really felt, I wouldn't be on TV.
She had been canceled plenty of times. I
wouldn't be on TV. But the bottom line is that where we are right now is up to you.
That's right.
Okay. And it's up to you to make the decision. Number one, in your own household, in your own families. And if you can't stand for anything, you're going to fall for all things.
Yeah. If you're complicit in it.
You know? So get a hold of the conflict. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Hey, we're closing out mental, and we may talk about mental health next week, because that topic next week, we're going to do some, leading up post to that, as well for next week to get into, because you guys really don't know what is going on behind the scenes. You really don't, So if you pray to keep your ass covered. Mm. Pray for the wisdom that you're lacking because you don't listen. Okay. You go to the wrong place for wisdom. Pray for those things and see what happens over the course of your life. All right. That's your challenge for this week. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for taking the time out to be a part of Brown Truth. Yeah, we were running late, but we wanted to get some information out there to you guys that was important. Again, celebrating Miss Jackson. Hey, Miss Jackson, love you.
My tourist sister.
Absolutely.
Tourist.
Hopefully,
if you're on social media, please hit the like button. Whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, please hit the like button.
And I would love to know that Janet picked up this show and watched it tonight. That would have been super nice. But hey, we may manifest that one.
Yeah, we're gonna probably manifest it. Yes,
but I love you, Janet. Hey, we'll hopefully get to Vegas to see you doing your residency there, and all of it. But celebrate. You are so worthy of the accomplishment, so worthy of what you have done and what you have endured. Because we don't know half the story, what you endured. So anyway,
fight the real enemy. Fight the real enemy.
Okay.
I'm just, but still though, truth behind the truth.
Yeah, it is. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning to what?
The truth behind the truth.
Have a beautiful night.